Hey everyone, this is my first time ever making a review video, so it might be pretty informal and I'll just be giving my thoughts, okay? So, I was given my chance to try out Claritas Dungeon Crawler RPG's closed beta. As the name suggests, it's a dungeon crawler with a pretty straightforward gameplay loop. You prepare for a dungeon, go in, come back out to prepare for a next one. Actually exploring the dungeon is done by walking through the map and lighting it up. As you walk through the map, you can end up in random fight encounters or find treasure along the way. And once you find a boss, there's a special sound cue. And I like that you don't have to fight it right away, and there's also a checker to confirm if you want to fight the boss or not. Once the boss is defeated, the exit opens up, but you can still explore if you want to. So I find lighting up the map to be a pretty satisfying experience, so I found it to be a nice way to pass the time. As for the actual combat, something really nice to note is that the backgrounds for the fights are quite pretty and really helps out the ambience. So if you played older turn-based games, you might actually understand the combat pretty fast. So basically, every character and enemy on the field has an action meter that, once full, allow them to take their turn. An interesting to note is that there's no basic attack option for no cost, okay? So all the basic attacks are under the skills tab, and they still cost even a little bit, a smidget of MP to execute. So every character has a built-in rest, focus, and guard skill that costs 0 MP to execute. Guard is self-explanatory, but I really like that rest and focus could help recover a certain percentage of characters' HP and MP for basically free, just at the cost of 1 turn. I found myself losing MP extremely fast as I got trigger happy with my skills, and I generally managed my MP terribly. Rest and focus helps, but it won't actually replace proper MP management and MP potions. Source, trust me bro. Currently in the lobby, there are various shops so that you could buy items, equipment, craft, or change party setup. Since there are quite a lot of common features, I'll focus on the party setup since that's where things really get a bit more in-depth. So, there are a lot of character options already this early on, and a personal team favorite for my composition is the cleric, the vampire, and the mistress, simply because I thought their aesthetic fit mine. Like, look at the vampire's wings and then the mistress's pink hair, and you know, having a cleric it's always good to have a healer. So the last slot was pretty flexible for me with that team, because surprisingly, the mistress is a bit of a tank. And also, the vampire he's got like some sort of HP life drain, yeah. He's got life drain, so life drain plus the cleric's healing and shielding plus the mistress tanking, that turned out to be pretty good. Anyways, I digress. Every character has their own separate levels, so unfortunately, if you wanted to try a new setup, you'd have to level them all up, separately, because it's not your party slots that carry the levels. It's not too bad though, as early dungeons seem to only take a few minutes each to run. In fact, it might even be good for trying to set speedrun records that you can just fight the boss of a dungeon immediately when you see it. It's just gonna be a bits and bobs of RNG there. So, an interesting bit for me is finding out that passive skills in the game are toggles. So, they're not always on by default. You can turn them on or off. So, if they're on, then it will cast mana at the start of every turn to activate its effect. And I'm used to taking passives for granted, so finding this out and trying to manage them added to the combat challenge. I tried out all of the characters in the beta with no real team building thoughts put into it, so let's just say some runs ended worse than others. Because of this though, I found out that there is no continue and no autosave, so as you guessed it, I was a goober who didn't even save once before finding this out. Friendly reminder to save regularly. On the first clear of a dungeon, you get a recipe for a craftable item, and one of the items needed to craft it. Typically, it seems one run of the dungeon yields one of the item. And for the first 2 stages, the beach and the forest, it needs to be run 3 times to get the item crafted, which is how I also found out that unlocking the next dungeon seems to be done by the amounts of clears that you've done on another, not necessarily crafting the item, so you don't have to do it if you don't want it. Though there was no tutorial and I did a lot of my learning by experience in the demo, because that's just how I play, there's actually a very detailed help menu if you really find yourself stuck on something. Overall, I had a lot of fun trying out Claritas and I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues to develop from here. Yay! It's not really the type of game that I usually play or stream, but it was still nice to pass the time. I half wonder though if there will be even just a little bit of story inserted into the final version, since if you take a look at it, the characters do have some bits of personality and a little bit of like maybe possibly interesting backstories that they could have incorporated if they ever choose to go in that route. So maybe there's something there. Maybe something's going to be built up. I'm not sure, because like when you start the demo, you just get plopped into the lobby. And speaking of the lobby, you can't leave yet, but there are stairs. So I did try to take the stairs, and when you try to take the stairs, you get stopped. Like there's some sort of notif or like a ta-da, but then you can't actually leave. And you can also see stairs behind one of the shops. I mean, like, it's not really the shop. Like, you can see the stairs behind the recruitment guy, which is interesting as well because you can't access that. I wonder if there's gonna be a bit more exploration even beyond the dungeons themselves. I mean, like, I guess that would be beyond the scope of being a dungeon crawler, but, you know, interesting things to think about. But yeah, if you're interested in the game, feel free to check out the demo in Steam, linked in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, even though my thought process was a bit scattered and a mess, and I'll see you all next time. It is freaking 5 AM. That's why I'm slightly whispering. Thank you, bye-bye!